Hey, what's good everybody? It's that one camera guy back at again with another video for you. There's this question that I keep on getting all the time from viewers, and I wanted to go ahead and just answer it because it's I want to help you out. So that's basically the main idea. So the question is, should I get the a7 Mark III or should I pick up the a7R III? Now, I got into kind of a longer chat session with someone at some point asking about whether or not they should get the a7R III or the a7III for sports. Now, here's the thing. The a7 III and the a7R III are nearly identical in terms of features and capabilities. Autofocus, speed, video, and also just ergonomics. You also got the bigger battery, the dual card slots, the customizable menu options so you don't have to panic and worry so much about finding things that you frequently check. So because of that, the only defining factor that I personally think that the two cameras differ in is the megapixel count. So I know what you're thinking. You should get the a7R III because you're gonna get all of those megapixel goodness. You're gonna be able to crop in and zoom into your images and take every single detail that you want. Now, that's not a bad way to think about it, and I have an a7R III and I love every single megapixel I get out of that camera, and I take full advantage of it, especially if I'm shooting sports. But over time, there's something we all forget. Do we really need 42 megapixels? I would say most people don't. And if you're asking the question of whether or not you need 42 megapixels or not, you're probably not that person that needs 42 megapixels. I think if you know you're doing maybe fine art stuff and you're photographing things that need a lot of resolution and detail, then you absolutely are probably gonna fall in that category of individuals that need that megapixel advantage. So what are some cons having higher megapixels? One, your file sizes are gonna be bigger. Now, if you run and operate a business, these are just business expenses and it's not a big deal. Buy more storage space, store your data on there, and just enjoy life. Now, if you are kind of an amateur or you're just kind of a hobbyist, you could argue you could have 42 megapixels if it's just for fun. Just keep in mind your storage spaces are going to increase and you're definitely gonna have to accommodate for more storage capacity with the a7R III. But with the a7 III, 24 megapixels is pretty reasonable. The file sizes aren't that bad to manage. And honestly, in most cases, I prefer those. So there you go. If you're wondering, should you get the a7 III or the a7R III, just know that both cameras are literally identical. I know the folks in the chat are gonna say, well, one's built better. The a7R III has a better EVF. One is rated for a 200,000 shutter, while the a7R III has a 500,000 shutter lifespan. In all honesty, I don't think most people are going to notice the difference. While I've been shooting with the a7 III, when I'm out there on the field taking photographs, I'm not really thinking, oh my goodness, I'm not using an a7R III or I'm using the a7 III. Those things never cross my mind, and they're literally almost the same thing. Once you're out there shooting, you're really thinking about what you're doing and you're practicing your craft or you're doing your craft, you don't really worry about what camera you actually have. And by the way, there's actually one really cool benefit if you get the a7 III over the a7R III, and that is you're gonna save nearly almost $1,200 by getting the a7 Mark III. And with that, you're gonna be able to pair it up with a really nice lens like the 24-105 f4, which obviously you can find some links in the description below. But that's the way I think about it. If you get the a7R III and you're on a budget, you won't be able to get some really nice lenses. And I think it's important that with this generation of cameras from Sony, you wanna pair it up with native glass. And by the way, there's this really awesome 28-75 from Tamron that'll be coming out soon, f2.8. I'm very excited about that as well, but we don't have all the information about it, but we will soon. But that might be a really nice lens to pair up with the a7 Mark III. Folks, that's gonna do it for me in this video. Let me know your thoughts about the argument between the a7 III and the a7R III. Are there arguments that I missed? Things that I didn't point out? I'd love to know your reasoning behind getting the a7R III over the a7 III. Leave them down in the comments below. And with that said, I'm your host, that one camera guy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
I left my heart in California. I let it go deep into the blue. I could be happy in California. I would be fine with just me and you. Now don't go changing